Hello, and welcome to Ask Dr. Bessie. I am your host, Reverend Dr. Bessie Fletcher. Now, today I have an exciting guest with me. We have Sharlene Alvarez and her daughter Sara. And with Sara and Sharlene, I'm excited because you have invited me over. You called and said that you had a question. And before we get into the question, what I'd like to do is for you to tell me just a little bit about yourself. And then Sara just give us a little bit about herself. But we're going to go with you first. Then I want you to ask the question, and then we'll get to Sara. So tell me a little bit about something was going on the inside, and you decide, well, you know what? I need to call Dr. Bessie. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Sharlene. I'm from Colorado. I'm 50. I have two children.
50 and gorgeous.
Thank you.
All right.
I need that.
Yeah, you look good.
I have a daughter, 21,
Uh-huh.
and my son is 8.
Uh-huh.
Through my life, I have endured many of loss. I lost 9 children before I had Sara. Through that loss, there's been journeys, very dark journeys.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Very, very bargaining, anywhere from bargaining to fear to madness.
Yeah.
It was, I always explained it through the journey, it's like hanging from a ledge, insanity. The trials that you bear. But through my heart, and being a little tiny child, that's all I ever wanted, was to be a mother.
To be a mother.
To be a mother. Because in His Word, God's Word, He promised that when you have children, they're blessings.
Right.
So
right.
my mother had 9 kids.
Oh, wow. Your mother had 9
yes,
children.
and we're all a year apart. And she was 29 when she had
God
her 9th
bless
baby.
her.
So the greatest memories of my life as her baby, at 29 years old and 8 other brothers and sisters, was the relationship with the mother.
Right.
I mean, now, and the analogy is that now I look into the mirror and I see the reflection of my mother. Oh, what a great reflection.
Let me stop it right there. You know what I tell mothers and daughters when I reach them, I said, if you like the way your mother look now, you know what I mean? That's what you're gonna look like, Sara, you know, when you get 50. Gorgeous. You know?
Right.
Women don't realize that we turn into our mothers. They don't want to accept that. But we turn into our mothers.
We do.
So at 50, you can see more of your mother now probably than when you were Sarah's age at 21. Go ahead.
And the greatest gift that my mother has given me, and she's 80 years old,
Uh-huh.
the greatest gift that she has given me is the creativity. The creativity. I mean, back then in those days, you know, she had 9 kids, so she had to learn how to make something from nothing.
Right.
And that is my business. I own Go Green Kids magazine, which is the gardens within their heart as well as the environment. My mother always gardened, she cooked, she sewed, she mended. She had every era she had to go through, from the 1950s through the 1960s, every era. So she had to constantly change, constantly doing something. So now I see me as my mother.
What was your mother single mom?
No, she was married to my father.
Okay.
My father worked 2 jobs all of his life. I mean, how do you sustain without... She couldn't work. She had 9 kids.
Were you on a farm?
No, we lived in the city.
We
were raised in the inner city.
Okay.
But even being raised in an inner city, we weren't exposed to the inner city per se,
Right.
the gang members and all of those things, because we were a very close-knit family. Daddy ruled, and he worked, and he ruled, and you wait till your father got home. And Mama, all she had to do was look at you, and that was, you better
Well, see, that's the
straighten
thing.
up.
She still has that look.
She has that look.
with me.
80 and has that look.
Absolutely has that look with me.
My mother,
Absolutely.
I would tell her when I was a child, my mother, I get to run in my mouth. I had a conversation with my girlfriend the other day, and we were talking about what we went through as a child. And then all of a sudden, we got into the conversation of that look. I told him I would be in the middle of a conversation because, you know, I like to talk. And what I do, audience, I would go and start running my mouth about something that was supposed to be family secrets. And with me doing that, in the middle, I could feel the energy coming from my mother. And I would start talking, and I would feel the energy coming. And so what I do, I'm trying to talk, trying to look at her, because she's giving me that look, and I'm trying to make sense out of what I'm saying, because I knew I was going to get it when I got home. You know what I mean? The look was all there was. Kids don't know
It was
about the
the
look today.
silent look.
They don't know about the look today. You look at them now and go,
Exactly.
what are you looking at me for? They don't get it. You know what I mean? We'll be right back. You don't want to miss this show. Yes, you're watching Ask Dr. Bessie.
She learned how to overcome the poverty and just the things that she had to go through, because in essence she was a single mother. Father had to always work.
And mother had to be there, and the tone of the house. The thing that I tell you, Otis, is that the tone of the house is set by the mood of the mother. And I'm an only child, and I have one daughter. So that in itself doesn't give me an idea of what a mother goes through when she has more than one child. But I have a little story about that too. God has given me 4 adult women now that each one has their own personality, and then God say, now you look at that, and then that kind of give you a feel what a mother would go through. But 9 children in the city, keeping them very close, that's a job. That's a job. Now what I want to do now is I want to bring into your question. What was your question?
Well, my question is losing the 9. I had a son before Sara was born. He was born premature. He lived for 4 hours, and he died in my arms.
Oh.
And then after he lived, I lost another before Sara came. So Sara literally was raised on my chest. The fear after losing so many, you're afraid. If I lay her down, will she be awake? If I let her step outside without knee pads and a helmet, will she be okay? The sustainability with my faith in God, and I sum it up this way, is that faith is fear walking. Faith is fear walking. And now she is 21. She's probably never had a bruise in her life. I would leave work because I had a funny feeling, and it would just be to give her a kiss. So the fear has always been there, and it's really weird because it's transcended into Sara and Aaron, who is my 8-year-old son. They fear for me, and I have to remind them, I'm the mom. I can go to the store. I'm okay. But the fear of letting her go and be the woman that she needs to be. She's a great girl, was raised in the church.
Absolutely beautiful.
She is a very honorable young daughter, and I am very proud of her. But at times she'll go out on a date, and it's maybe an hour, and I think that's my spirit. My spirit's telling me something's wrong, and it's nothing. It's a fear. So how do you let go of what was sorrowful years ago and say, it's okay, rest in his peace? That's not going to happen. The hardest thing for me to learn as an adult woman is that no matter what I do in life, their lives were meant to be.
Right.
It wasn't a punishment.
Right.
That if Sara walks out and she fell on the sidewalk and cracked her head open, it wasn't anything that I did. Her life is her life. And how I separate that devastation of all those years to a joyful mother of rest in his peace, because it's okay.
Yeah.
Their lives were always meant to be.
Yeah.
So that's my question.
Okay. Wow, what a question, audience. And we're going to get into that too, because what we're looking at, God doesn't give us the spirit of fear.
Power and the love of a sound mind.
Yes, and that's the one thing that that's going to be our basis for today. We're going to look at that. Because if he doesn't give us the basis for fear, then we know we have a sound mind, we know everything is okay. But what I want you to do, I want you to get a little deeper into what did you experience? Because before we get to Sara, there was some trauma. There was things that you went through. 9 babies. I mean, when I heard the story, I was like, 9 babies? And you didn't give up.
Nope.
You decided, I am going to stand. I am going to believe God,
on that word.
and I'm going to have a child. I don't care. I can't even imagine, I just can't even imagine it. But to think, 9 babies, most women would have given up. Sara would not be sitting here. They would have said, you know what? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to believe God. So something in you, I don't know if it's the 9 babies that your mother had, but something in you decided, I am not giving up. I'm going to believe God. What was that? We'll be right back. You don't want to miss this show. Yes, you're watching Ask Dr. Bessie.
I think it was, I was 13 years old, and that's all I ever wanted in my life, was to have children. When I was about 4 years old, my mother used to go to the Goodwills, which in Spanish we call them segundas. We would go to the Goodwills and she'd buy me every doll. I mean, missing eyes, and I didn't care. They were my babies. And she'd say, okay, go ahead and play. And I would get on her bed and I would line up all my babies next to me. And I was their mom in the middle. And one day I was going to be a mom. So at 13, I read something in the Bible. And it struck me as that children are a blessing from God.
Yes.
Therefore, I am promised that.
Yeah.
I walk in your ways. I am promised that. I was going to have my children. And I remember the most distinctive verse it was, is that God is the same from the beginning to the end.
Yes, He is.
He doesn't go back on His promises.
That's right.
So therefore, I could claim that.
Yes.
And even though if I lost one, that meant it was going to even be better the next time. And the next time it happened, the next time, I remember times going in front of that evangelical preacher, getting on my knees and claiming it, and oh Lord, I know you're going to make me pregnant. And He did. He allowed it. But for some reason, it was taken away. So, could I have given up every time it happened? My husband said to me, now you're not going to go steal a baby, are you? You're not going to go crazy, are you? And I would cry and I would say, well, if you see one that needs a baby, bring him home. But I knew that it was in my heart. Can you pinpoint something that tugs at your heart? Never give up? No, you can't.
Yeah.
And it was in my heart to always be a mother.
But
And I
9
knew
babies.
her name before she was even born.
Wow.
So, at 3 years old, I never told anyone this, Dr. Bessie. But it occurred to me one night. I was going to college and I worked during the day, and my husband worked nights and I worked days. And I was going to college and I was by myself and I was listening to his word. And it said that you could claim anything. But you've been praying, please, please, please. How about thank you? Faith is the substance of things not seen,
Right.
but believed.
Right.
And I believed it, so
Yes.
I already had that.
Right.
So
That's
I
it.
said, you know what? I'm
Thank
going to
you.
start thanking
There
Him
you
before
go.
I even see her. I'm going to thank Him. So every night I would go to bed and I would get on my knees and I would it was just me. I never told my husband. And I would just thank Him for Sara. I would just thank Him, read His word, thank Him, rejoice, sing, because He's always right there when you sing. So I would sing all day, blessed be the name of God. My child is coming, my child is coming. So when she turned 3, she came to me and she said, Mama, I'm so glad I chose you to be my mama.
Wow.
And I said, what do you mean? And she said, I saw 3 women. One was dancing, one had children, and you were praying. I saw you praying on your knees. Does she remember that now? No, she doesn't remember. But I knew through life, being 50 and going through the things that I do now with my children, is I can still see Him so clearly. And I tell her, it's like, you're walking this road and He has you on this path, and sometimes we go off the path of where we need to be. And I do that often with her because I think she's still 5. And I do that because the fear's still there. No matter if faith is something not seen but believed, that fear, that fear, will she still be awake, And I still, to this day, go into her room and check her breathing. I'm with her.
That's a normal thing. I want you to know that's normal.
At 21?
Yeah, it is. It is. Because, see, what happened is that in your mind, you have not released her as a child. That's why I'm saying it's normal. It's normal for your state where you are. You have not released her as a child. You still look at her as a little girl.
My baby.
Your baby. Because I can only imagine. And see, that in itself, Sara is here for you. She wants to go. I can only imagine. She wants to go out there but she knows that for you, she has to do certain things. And she's willing to do that. So we're going to talk about how you're going to release her. But before we do that, Sara, tell us a little bit about yourself and when you were growing up. How did you feel? Because I know your mother told you the story. How did you feel about the closeness and not being able to do maybe like the other children? We'll be right back. You don't want to miss this show. Yes, you're watching Ask Dr. Bessie. Tell us a little bit about you.
I have to say that I love my mom so much. She's my best friend. Even when I was a little girl, I think that fear that she had of of something happening to me actually helped me in a way, because I would always hide behind her, and I still do that. Still to this day, being 21 years old, I still hide behind her for certain things. I still want to say, like, no, I'm going to have my mom do it. Or when kids were mean to me at school, I'd say, Mom, you have to talk to them for me. You have to do this for me. So at the same time, it was really good to have her that way. But I have to say, at sometimes I did want to go sleep over at people's house. I did want to go, and she'd like, nope, can't go. You stay with me. I can sleep over at people's houses. I couldn't walk across the street. I had to always look both ways. I had to go with her everywhere. But I mean, it was good. But I appreciate it now, how close we are. But at the same time, it was different. But I'm really appreciative towards it, because even now to this day, I wouldn't sleep over